the ongoing journey of personal growth and development. I think that's kind of, in some ways, what we're all going through. We're all going through healing things from our past, like healing the inner child. And so, yes, it's definitely an ongoing thing that will continue to happen. And it's part of life. And my oldest daughter is dyslexic. She also has ADHD. And this is the interesting thing. And this was our unique approach. We never really had the official diagnoses. We just knew, like, we'd done enough research and we like figured out enough things that we knew. And for us, our emphasis was always on just building that foundational mindset towards, if you think about it, like Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, Growth versus Fixed Mindset, that was our approach. My oldest daughter actually recently just got officially diagnosed because she decided to pursue nursing. In this process, as she started going to school, taking classes and stuff, and they were willing to, provide different resources for her because of dyslexia, but she didn't have the official diagnosis. So she went and got it and found it very helpful. And one of the things she said, she's like, well, how come I never got diagnosed when I was younger? And I said, well, one, we were traveling, so we were often in other countries, right? She grew up in the Dominican Republic and Guatemala and Costa Rica and all kinds of places. And I said, two, our thing was like, I got a book that was called The Gift of Dyslexia. And like, I was all about understanding how this could be a gift and useful in her life and focusing on those things rather than on focusing on the fact that, oh, well, you can't do certain things. She still is not a great reader, but she's been able to achieve a lot of individual success by finding other ways to learn, right? Just different ways of handling things. Obviously, nowadays, especially, you've got text to speech, which is very helpful, and, speech to text. And so she's been able to navigate, but she was able to get it in these very interesting ways where she got to know certain people and then made connections, and like, they were like, oh yeah, here, do this, take this, and, so it was very unique that she was able to do that. But I think ultimately that's kind of the point. Like, if you learn that, oh, hey, my brain just works different, right? Neurodiversity, my brain is different. And then you view it as a type of superpower you have rather than a disadvantage, then you start to think different. Well, you use what you have. You think differently, you have different approaches, and you're able to get done the things you want to get done and achieve the things you want to achieve, even though it's not the normal route. And that's okay, right? So, and I think that that's probably one of the best things to do, is to emphasize like, hey, yeah, everyone's brain is different, but that's okay. That's a great thing. Like, that's what makes the world interesting. And just learn how to use that as a strength and not see it as a disadvantage. We also discovered she has an overactive basal ganglia, which essentially means she's in fight or flight mode almost all the time. It was very fascinating when the doctor showed us her brain scan, and you could see where the basal ganglia is and how it was just like lit up. And they told us that it was from trauma that had occurred in, I want to say it was like her birth father's line, which I thought was interesting, that it was like, they basically said, oh, this was passed on to you because of something traumatic that happened in your ancestral line. But it was very interesting to me to learn that you could inherit this overactive basal ganglia because of trauma that had occurred, in your parents or grandparents. The fact, like, this girl to this day, she's the funniest girl. But if you walk into the room, just walk in, she's like, oh my gosh, you scared me. Like, every time, because she has an overactive basal ganglia. So, but it helped her to understand, like, oh, that's what's going on. My basal ganglia is overactive. that's why, and she also would wake up multiple times during the night. She just thought that was normal, but it turns out it's related to that. Like the doctor said, your brain's sleeping with one eye open, essentially. But all of this helped her to understand herself more and understand why, why I can't sleep or why I can't do this or why this is happening or whatever. So it's helpful to have, I guess what I'm saying is it's helpful to have diagnoses or to understand those types of things so that you can better understand yourself. But ultimately with the goal of how do I use this? How do I make this a tool? How do I use this to help my life be better, right? Where I think the danger with too many people that I've seen again and again is that they often try to use it as then some sort of excuse or reason for, well, I can't do this or I can't do that because of ADHD or because of dyslexia. And I think that's disempowering rather than empowering. I honestly believe there are definitely people and kids who learn better by moving. And I think that that's one of the disadvantages of school, like regular school nowadays, is they have so little movement that's allowed. And there are kids that and that's why they're getting diagnosed and then given medication, all this stuff, because they're trying to keep them from moving. But really, a lot of them have to move in order to learn. Again, we don't really do diagnoses unless necessary, but I'm pretty sure at least 2 of my other younger kids also have ADHD, but it's not that they don't want to sit still, especially if they're learning. My youngest just loves to rollerblade around, but that's how it helps her learn. She'll be like doing her little handwriting or something and then rollerblade around and then come back, and it does help to literally, in a way, concretize some of the information they're learning and help to make those neural connections in their brain and solidify that scaffolding.